At the end of the, look, try not to leave the class until it's over, unless there's some kind of absolute emergency, unexpected emergency, or the device stops working or something like that. But try to stay here to the end of the class. It keeps the class from being interrupted. And it also, I'm telling you, so many extraordinary things happen in these talks that I give at the end of the class that you can only benefit from it. So unless there's some absolute emergency, something that, the world is coming to an end or something, try to stay to the end of the class. It's really important. Okay, we'll have a meditation, and then afterwards, if anyone has a question they would like to ask, I'd be happy to try and answer it. Try to work deep inside, try to open and understand that every one of these classes is an opportunity to get a step closer to one's spiritual enlightenment. It's kind of a miracle that we can do this. And literally people from maybe 8 or 9 different countries here, it's something that I find staggering, and it fills me with so much gratitude to be able to touch people all over the world this way. So we'll have a meditation, and if there's any questions, please ask them after the class. I have a question.
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
You have, in the past, told us about the time in Texas when your guru said to you, buy that building.
Oh yeah, many times.
And then he said, anyone can do with money. How did you do that? How did you end up buying the building, and what was the significance?
The only answer I have to that, Novi, is truly, it was so much pressure to do that. It was such a test of my economic resources. I had never been through anything like that before. And the only way I was capable of doing it is I had to go so deep inside myself to connect with higher energy and ask for that power from above to come down and give me the strength, the wisdom, the knowledge of how to do this. It's the only way it worked. I mean, I had never, look, I used to, when I was a kid, I worked as a waiter. I would tell you what I used to do when I lived in Europe, the jobs I used to do to earn money. But I never had anything like that to be up against. And I understood then, I said, Stuart, your personality, your economic resources are not going to get you there, but higher energy will get you there. And I worked every day so deep, and suddenly things opened that I never dreamed of that made it possible 1 month later to buy the building. And then to build a restaurant in that building, that was the most successful restaurant they ever had there, I mean, people thought I was crazy, but I ran a belly dancing club on a Friday and Saturday night in this restaurant. And there were 150 people lined up outside to get in. And we're talking in the middle of the Bible Belt in the United States, It was an extraordinary, but it was all from going deep and deep. And suddenly these inspirations came that I never could have dreamed of, that enabled me to do all this stuff that I did and still do it today, I don't have to do it as strongly today, but I still do it. This Zoom thing came out of that. And all the other stuff. I mean, in the last 6 months, I'm living in kind of a small museum here, of art that I bought that I want to start a center somewhere. So I'm going to put together a number of things and sell it, hopefully at auction, and get the money to start a center somewhere where I can do retreats and I can do, hands-on work with people and train people that way. but it all comes from a higher place. It all comes from being connected. And then, having a need inside yourself to have a spiritual life that is so deep that you're willing to attract into your life huge situations that enable you to work out your karma on the earth. Not by walking away from your karma, but by embracing it, working with it, growing because of it. That's how it worked. I can't explain it any other way. I mean, I didn't go to some teacher of economics and give me the key to buy that building when I have only a shopping center, for God's sake. I had $600 to my name. But it was that energy that kept giving me insights and inspirations. And within a month, I raised the money to do it. And that building eventually made it possible for me to move back to New York. Because then I sold the building, 4 years later. And I made some money and I could move back to New York where I really had to be, not Texas. I needed to be in New York at that point in my life. So I don't know how else to describe that. I mean, I'm not a teacher of economic, I don't know how any of that works. I do know that what works for me is this depth of need to grow inside that attracts answers that I never dreamed that I could ever get. And for me, it's always been not about my own wealth and how much money I need to have, because I don't care about stuff like that. It was about supporting my spiritual work. At that point, it was supporting an ashram. In New York, it was supporting a very, very big center that I was running there. I had 100, 150 people every week coming to class, paying huge rents for the place, taxes for the place. I had to get money. And it always came from going up, and that energy came and it provided answers to difficult situations. I know to many of you, it's an answer that might not make any sense, but to me, it makes perfect sense. Because I've never been, when I was younger, I had no interest in making money. I was interested in being a writer, being an artist, being a, creative person. And then I was thrown into a situation where I really had to learn how to do it. And it taught me how to live in that part of the world, that part, that money, and there's a great line: "Give to Christ, or give to Caesar what Caesar's, and give to God what's God's." You have to be able to live in the world. The world is Caesar. Then you have to be connected to spirit. That's God. So you give the gratitude, you get the energy, and then you can take care of Caesar. It's really very simple. If a person has that kind of need inside, all of this works for them. And before Rudy told me that, I never knew this could work. I never knew anything about this. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And the best thing about this is you can do in the world, you can succeed and the world doesn't have you. You're not sucked dry by this whole economic dinosaur, this monster that consumes the human race. You can do it and be free of it at the same time. It's like my teacher Rudy told me, it's not to have, it's to have and to be free of what you have. Because when you have, you really can work out karma. There's room to learn how to get free of what you have. So success is an important element on the earth in truly in developing a spiritual life. Because it teaches you how to get free of something that truly, it's like a spider web that has caught almost which is success. And you can have it and be free of it without allowing it to, consume your life.
I have another question, Stuart.
Yes.
On Tuesday, you spoke about your trip to India and meeting this monk. And I don't
It was
recall.
more than a monk. It was a great Rinpoche, It's just,
Yes. So one of his, on the third day that you visited, there were some teachings that he taught you. Can you talk about any of those
he
today?
told me something that was even very truthful to me then. And this was really, this is a guy who used to hang out with the Dalai Lama, the Karmapa, the Shah. He was on a very, I didn't even know this. I just discovered this later. He was a very important Tibetan Rinpoche of the highest level. And he told me, he said, it broke my heart because it was so true. And I have the same thing today. He said to me, when he was a young tulku living in Tibet, he said, when he would want to go to his Rinpoche to ask his Rinpoche a question about his spiritual life, he said he would have to wait hours to see the Rinpoche. Because there were so many lamas, there were so many young monks online with questions. He said, today I can't find anybody to teach. This is why he was dying. He was a cow that needed to be milked. And this is a truth, such a profound truth about how people, really approach their spiritual practice. I remember when I was younger with Rudy, you couldn't keep me away from him. I used to go to his store all the time. I would sit and work with him, listen to him talk. He'd have to kick me out. But then Kala Rinpoche, I'm talking a great, great Rinpoche. It was one of the most important ones of the 20th century. I can't find anybody to teach. It almost brought a tear to my eye. I had to come from 9,000 miles away to sit with him and milk the cow so he could come back to life again. And this is a part of the way people approach their spiritual practice. Today, 1,000 years ago, back in 1977, that's how people approach. Everybody takes it for granted. They took Rudy for granted, and one day he wasn't here anymore. And boy, a lot of people were in a lot of pain. He was no longer there, and they did not really get his teachings while he was alive. And I ask the same thing from people, 10 classes, ask questions, grow, find that need in yourself. I really do, because I know how important it is. I don't want to have 300 lamas sitting in a courtyard in a monastery, with a prayer wheel in their hands and rosary beads chanting Om, and their Rinpoches dying inside because nobody will go in there and milk the cow. Nobody would go in there and say, Rinpoche, teach me about the 6 disciplines of Naropa, specifically the one, nobody, 300 people sitting there, not one of them went in there and asked those kind of questions, which brought him back to life again. And this is not a problem of just then, it's really an eternal problem. Because people just assume that teachers are going to be around forever, and they're not. They come, they go, like everybody else. They're born, they live, they die. And while they're in the world, one has to truly take advantage. I teach 7 classes a week. And honestly, I taught a class in the Americas the other day, and there are 69 people that are registered for that class. Of the 69 people, I think 37 of them even opened the email that I sent out. That's scary, in another situation, you say, what do I need to do this for? What? What? And so what I'm saying is it's the same thing that I learned from Kala Rinpoche, how important it is to take advantage of what God provides in your life and never to assume anything. Because most people assume my teacher would live to 84 years old, and he died when he was 45. But he kept, in the 6 years I was with him, he said, look, don't love me, don't worship me, don't build idols to me, don't build shrines to me, just learn what I have to teach. This is what he told me. For 6 years I heard this. Learn what I have to teach, because one day I won't be here anymore. So that's what happened with Kala Rinpoche. I mean, it was one of the great moments of my life, that 3 days that I spent sitting at his feet. It's like some kind of story out of one of these great Tibetan texts, you know. I mean, it really is. And it happened in the 20th century. It didn't happen, you know, in the 700s, the 800s, you know, 1,000 years ago. Does anyone else have a question? I hope it's clear what I do is a very powerful thing. And what Rudy did was a very powerful thing. And he once said to me, Stuart, do you want some, you know, schmucky teacher sitting here talking about things in their head, or do you want somebody with real Shakti, real energy that can help you to grow, that can really help you to change your life inside, transform you inside, and help you to build a connection with God? I mean, to me, it was never I heard enough spiritual teachers in my life that provided absolutely nothing for me. And I'm sitting in front of this great master who's just pure energy coming through him, forcing me to work in great depth inside myself. Does anyone else have a question? I hope this is clear. You know, this is very strong stuff. And I hope it's clear. I hope it's not too strong for some of you, because take it in, take it in. It's just Shakti. The words are Shakti. It's all just energy. And we all need energy to live our lives. Even cars know they need gasoline. They don't run without gasoline. People walk around thinking they can spend their lives running on tension. And the tension just kills them eventually. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, when you say take it in, keep the energy within, what after the class, what can you talk about more about this?
Well, the class, Matsya, is about building a chakra system that is strong enough so you can sustain the class while when you leave. You're not going to sustain it 100%, but the energy comes in and it slowly, gradually builds a system inside yourself where you become literally a child of God. You become a person who can, no matter what you're doing during the day, you receive that energy and it works through you. But the whole class is about building a system that enables you to do it. That's what the class is about. Because, you know, God is not, you know, just in meditation, you know. I mean, everything we do is a manifestation of spirit. Everything in life is a manifestation of spirit. So we need to build a system that gets us strong enough to be able to live in that kind of world, which is truly the world around us. And the only thing that's missing is our consciousness. So there's a bridge between the meditation class and the rest of your life. And that bridge is something you have to cross and bring a developed chakra system with you that enables you to see the miracle of whatever you do in your life. And all I do is help provide energy to help people build that kind of system. That's my job, you know? My job isn't being a guru. I say it all the time. It's not being some Swami and some, you know, great religious figure that everybody worships. It's truly helping people build that kind of system so they can have their own independent connection with higher energy. And they can live that way every day of their lives. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Wow, this has been a powerful class. The class was powerful. And everything afterwards was powerful. God, God bless. Okay, if there are no more questions, then there will be a meditation on Thursday. And bless you all. Thank you for being here. And God, thanks for the questions and allowing this kind of energy to flow through and teachings. And God bless you. Have a wonderful evening or day, wherever you are. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Thursday.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.